Joining us now live, our friend Richard Ojeda, retired U.S. Army Major, former West Virginia State Senator, host of Ojeda Live, hit nightly Facebook and YouTube show, and co-founder of the Turn Left PAC. Richard, great to see you, brother. How is everything?
Always a pleasure to be on the Dean Obeidallah show, man. It's all good.
I wish everyone could see. We're doing this live via Zoom. I wish everyone could see what's behind Richard. It is like a museum to his service to this country, serving in the military. There are different patches, pictures of service, and I'm doing it no justice by describing it, but I'm going to post this interview on the YouTube channel for the show, the Dean Obeidallah Show. If you're on YouTube, it's completely free, of course. Check it out. I'll post it so people can see the remarkable collection of things behind you. Is that your hat as a major behind you on the right there? I know this is not great for radio, but I'm just...
It is. It is. It's that's the field grade cap for my dress blue uniform. Behind me is my beret that's hanging on my shadow box.
He's got a lot of cool stuff, folks. It is a museum. So, Richard, let's talk about a few things that are distressing and hopefully inspiring. Donald Trump has vowed to pardon the January 6th terrorists on day one, within hours, and just about all of them. And I think it'll be the ones who actually beat up police officers brutally in the name of Trump. What is the message that this scumbag is sending by pardoning these people?
He's basically saying that he doesn't respect the law. This is a guy who sent these people to the Capitol to try and basically keep him in power. That's exactly what this was. And I'm going to tell you right now, he would have absolutely did it again if he didn't win this recent election. I think that this is a slap in the face to everybody out there that is a police officer. I think it's absolutely sickening that these people are going to get out of prison. But understand that they're championing Donald Trump because they all know that they're getting ready to get out of prison. But they would have never been to prison had it not been for Donald Trump luring them to Washington, D.C., pointing them towards the Capitol, and then squeezing the trigger. So, if all we got was, 3-4 years out of these people in jail, well, maybe that's as good as we can get, but they deserve much more.
How much is it when you see Trump now saying, okay, you were a militia for me. You were my militia and you waged the violent attack. And now I'm going to pardon you. How much is it a calculation by him, do you think, to incentivize future conduct? To have others think, hey, look, if I commit violence for this guy, he's got my back.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. This is sickening. The fact that what they did, they beat police officers. Over 150 police officers had to go for medical, to be looked at by medical professionals. Some of the people got really hurt. I know a guy lost an eye. One guy lost a finger. There was all kinds of horrible things that happened. And basically, as long as you are a part of Donald Trump's goons, then you get a pass. And, who knows? Maybe he starts convincing people to go after his opposition. If he can't get Delta Force or the Navy SEALs to do his bidding, which is what he really wants to do. It's a sad. We are on a very, very bad path. Our country is on a very bad path. And I hope that, we have enough people that are willing to stand up and fight to make sure that we don't lose everything. Because make no mistake about it, he's not daggone surrounding himself with billionaires and sycophants because he cares about America. He's surrounding himself with billionaires and sycophants so that they can all work together to rob our country blind and then leave it when it's penniless and we're all trying to fight for food, and they'll just go off and live happily ever after someplace else.
And to that very point, look at Donald Trump is vocally supporting Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense, won't back down at all. This is a man who has no competence to be the head of a huge agency like the Department of Defense, hundreds of thousands of employees, a man who had documented credible allegations of rape where he paid the woman to keep her silent, openly anti-Muslim bigot. So there's Muslims in the military, so how comfortable are they going to feel? You've got a guy who, people have drinking problems. That's their issue in their life, but not when you're going to be Secretary of Defense. This is an issue about that. And now we learned things about January 6th that CNN was just reporting yesterday, that he was defending January 6th and saying, why all this pearl clutching? Yeah, it was a terrorist attack on our Capitol. This guy. So what is your take as someone who served in our military that Pete Hegseth will be Secretary of Defense?
first and foremost, look, I respect the National Guard, but a weekend a month and 2 weeks a year to lead the Department of Defense, which is like 3 million Americans, is a
Yeah,
slap in the face.
military.
This guy, this is a job that normally is given to people that have 35 to 40 years of military service. All of them were either four-star generals or admirals. And that's important. And now you want to replace them with somebody that was a major in the National Guard? I mean, it's a joke. But once again, it kind of tells us, it's almost as if he's trying to destroy all of the systems. Because, like, once again, like you put Linda McMahon, the person in charge of the World Wrestling Entertainment, to be in charge of public education. Do you really think that she cares about the education of our children? No, she is there to absolutely destroy and gut public education and then make charter schools where everybody that has money will send their kids to charter schools, and everybody that doesn't, well, good luck. Good luck for your child to even be able to learn how to read, because they don't care. They don't care because they know that people that are uneducated are easily duped, and that's their base.
I'm talking about our friend Richard Ojeda. Richard, to your point about privatization, Trump yesterday's press conference openly talked about privatizing the post office. I had on Tom Hartman, my buddy who hosts the show on our very channel here, talking about their goal. They already privatized part of Medicare with Medicare Advantage. The next thing is Social Security. And they don't want government to exist, not because the old idea is, I want to be able to drown in a bathtub. No. They want to give their big wealthy donors more ways to make money off the rest of us. That's what privatization. It's never been about, folks, smaller government. It's the same government services provided by the guy who made a $5 million contribution to Trump's super PAC or $20 million. That's all this is. This is legalized corruption right in front of our face.
It's right in front of our face. And let me tell you something. You know, I draw my retirement because I spent over 20 years in the service of this nation in the United States Army. I draw my disability because over the course of those 24 years, you sent me back and forth to combat zones multiple times and you broke me. I've had multiple surgeries, 3 knee surgeries, both rotator cuffs on my shoulders done, lower back, mid back, upper back, neck, traumatic brain injury, hearing loss, tinnitus, a foot surgery. I mean, everybody that spent 20 plus years in the military, that's just scratching the surface. And you're going to tell me that you're going to sit and let somebody that's worth $850 million and the man that's the richest man on the face of the earth to tell me that I don't deserve what I get? You know, how soon you forget, since we were in Afghanistan slugging out with those guys, that now all of a sudden you think it's okay to just turn your back on the veterans of this country. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's a slap in the face to put somebody like Elon Musk, a guy who was born to a daggone wealthy man who owned a blood diamond mine, and then Vivek Ramaswamy. Both guys never ever had the guts to pick up a rifle and man a post, and now they're going to throw stones and try to take from us, and they're going to go and take from Social Security, something that every one of us is paid into. You know, I mean, what a slap in the face. And what they're going to do is, let's say you're getting $1,700 a month. What they're going to do is they're going to give you $1,600 a month, and they're going to wait and they're going to listen. Is anybody getting mad? Is anybody storming the Capitol? Nope. All right. And then they're going to knock it to $1,500, and they're going to keep chipping it away until finally they realize that's as far as we can take it. If we take another penny from those people, they're going to explode on us. That's what they're going to do. And let me tell you something. We should not tolerate none of this. This is absolutely egregious. These are absolute people that have no concept of what service and sacrifice is. And I'm sick and tired of watching our entire democracy go down the tubes for a bunch of billionaires that don't care about us. I despise it.
Donald Trump's cabinet is a bushel of billionaires. It's unbelievable. We've never seen this many. But what about the Veterans Administration? You know, has there been talk in the past about privatizing it? Is that part of the goal as well, to just ship this out and outsource it to the wealthy Trump supporters?
That's what they want to do. And let me tell you something. Yep. They're talking about, we're going to cut $120 billion on day one. What that means is that veterans will no longer be able to get care in the community. What that means is veterans that are expecting to get surgeries are no longer going to be able to get those surgeries. You know, you send us into harm's way and you break us. And now you are literally turning your back on us and telling us that you don't care. And let me tell you something. Every single person, every Republican that runs in 2026, that ran in 2024 on Donald Trump, we need to absolutely make sure that not one of them gets back into office. Let me tell you something. We said that this was the most important election of our life, and it was the most important election, and we failed miserably. But let me tell you something. We can redeem ourselves in 2026, and we can take back the House. We can take back the Senate, because I'm going to tell you right now, I guarantee you over the next 2 years, Donald Trump will do plenty that would be impeachable offenses. And if we take back the House and we take back the Senate, we will not only impeach him, we'll finally get rid of him, and then he will be held accountable, because right now he is above the law. And if you don't believe it, then you ain't paying attention.
Absolutely. Richard Ojeda is laying it out, my friends. The idea that Trump could attempt a coup and cite a terrorist attack and not face any consequences for that. Call me naive, but I thought if you did that in our country, you would be held accountable. And he wasn't, because of partly Merrick Garland, partly the system is designed to protect wealthy people, especially rich white guys, but that's the system. And it worked exactly like designed to protect the rich and white people, rich, wealthy people.
The Billionaire Boys Club absolutely exists, and that's what we're seeing right now. And let me tell you something. Surrounding yourself with billionaires is not going to be beneficial for the average person in this country. These are people that are going to set themselves up to rob the system blind. That's what they're going to do. They're going to take more money than we've ever seen before. You know, Donald Trump put $7.8 trillion on the backs of the working class people when he first become into office. And he's going to do that even more this time. It'll be $10 trillion this time. And do you know who's going to pay for that? We are. Our grandkids are going to pay for this. They're not going to. And that's why, you know what? This is absolutely a nightmare. It is a nightmare. And I'm serious. I wake up every morning thinking to myself, are we really here? Is this where we really are? Yeah. And we are. We are. These billionaires don't care about you. They don't care about me. Things like, you know, Elon Musk is the richest. He's got over $400 billion now. And do you know when Donald Trump said, we're going to send people to Mars and we're going to go back to the moon? The moment that Donald Trump said that, if you didn't pick up on this, what that means is we, the taxpayers, are going to pay to send people to Mars and send people back to the moon so that Elon Musk doesn't have to spend any of his money, so he can continue trying with his goal to become the first trillionaire. And he's going to make it. I mean, like a month ago, he was at 300 million, and now he's broke 400 billion. So that's just where we're at. And it's unfair. It's sad.
He invested $260 or $270 million into Trump's campaign, and he's got back $100 billion.
And he stole it. He stole the election with $250 million. He bought this election. And you know what? That right there alone should be a crime. If the average person can only give $2,600 for the primary and $2,600 to the general to a person running at on the national level, but yet this guy not only gets to spend $250 million for Donald Trump, but he uses his platform to lie and spew so much garbage. And once again, you know, when you have a population that you don't want to truly educate, they fall for that garbage. And that was the plan all along.
So what do we do about Elon Musk and big money? I mean, that's something that, just like you, I'm pissed off about big money. It's legalized corruption. It's bribery. In the old days, you couldn't do it. You did it. You put it in a sweaty bag, as Danny Savalas would say. You put it in a briefcase and you hand someone the money. Now, legally announced, you're giving $50 million to a candidate. It's all legal. We know that our voice is diluted by that. Our vote is less powerful than someone who's giving $20 million. What do we do about getting big money out of politics?
Look, we have to overturn Citizens United. And we have to find people willing to go to Washington, D.C. to overturn Citizens United. What that basically says is that big money is free speech, and they get to buy these elections. And that's unacceptable. That's how come we, the people, are losing, and we're losing. And if you don't think it, just wait. Just wait. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this jackaloon thinks that tariffing, putting tariffs on Canada and Mexico is going to benefit us. And he knows it's not. He's been told that it's not going to work, but he doesn't care. And I'm going to tell you right now, he's already said, he promised, if I win, grocery prices is going to drop immediately. And now what is he saying? Well, I really can't do that because he's a liar and you fell for it. He told over 30,000 verified lies in his first time as president. And now you think he's telling the truth? What a bunch of just doofuses.
I agree. You know what I love about you, Richard? You're always at 11. not 10. You're at 11, like in Spinal Tap. Like you went up, like our speakers go up to, no, and I'm not mocking. I think this is great because what I'm getting at is we had Democrats tell us in this campaign rightfully that Donald Trump's a fascist threat, that he's a threat, an existential threat to the foundation of our democracy and our freedoms. Then after he wins, we have Democrats going, let's find common ground.
No.
Let's see where we can work with him. The guy's, you just told us he was a fascist. Is he a fascist now we can work with? Is that what you're telling us? What is your take on the lack of Democratic leadership in one voice fighting this guy and punching him in the face?
Look, at the end of the day, it's time for everybody in this country to get pissed off. You know, I mean, look, we are the ones that are going to be left holding the daggone bag. And, you know, it's unacceptable. And if you're going to run for office, we expect you to stand up and fight for the people. To me, it's a slap in the face that you sit here. It's no different than Joe and Mika running down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. You know, you sit for 8 years and talk, and you even said he was Hitler, and then you run down there and you kiss the ring. Unacceptable. No, you don't get to punch me in the back of the head and expect me to forgive you. I don't forgive. I don't turn the other cheek. And maybe we need more people in Washington, D.C. that refuse to turn the other cheek. Because I'm telling you right now, turning the other cheek continues to get us what? Where we're at right now. Unacceptable. I don't like bootlickers, people like Joe Manchin. I have no need for them.
My late Sicilian mother would say, I would tell her about the idea of, you know, turn the other cheek about Jesus. And she goes, you see where that got him? That's what she used to always say. And because she was very tough, she was very, go to church every Sunday. She's very Catholic, my mom. But she was like, you got to fight. You got to punch back. You can't be like, oh, people are going to hand you something because you're a nice little boy. That's what you would tell me all the time.
Well, look at what we got. You know, we got Mike Johnson, who sits here and has the nerve to look into the camera and say, I always refer to the Bible before I make any decisions. Really, Mike Johnson? Well, tell me where at in the Bible that it said that you need to block an investigation of a guy who used child sex trafficking, a guy who showed naked pictures of young girls to other members of Congress on the House floor. And you chose to block that. Because why? Because that's what Jesus would have done? Wrong. These people, they claim to be religious. They're not. You know, I saw a photograph the other day of Massey from Kentucky. Thomas Massey sitting in front of his Christmas tree. Every person in his family has an assault rifle, and he's holding an M60 machine gun. I used to carry an M60 machine gun. It's fully automatic, 7.62. It is a deadly weapon, and this guy's got one in his home. I mean, and the reason let me tell you something. He never had the backbone to pick up a rifle and man a post, but he's got the money to buy them and act like he's all about that. It's all to brown nose the daggone NRA. Garbage. These people are garbage.
That's it. Richard, the only time I saw a machine gun was a machine gun from, I guess it was World War I, like with a little wheel on it, like that, you know, that kind of machine gun.
Gatling gun.
It was a Gatling gun. And I saw it, just a quick aside here. I produced a comedy festival in Jordan years ago, and King Abdullah came and then invited us for dinner afterwards. We went to his house and he had an indoor shooting range. And they had I'm like, I'm not going to use that because I don't know how to use the gun. I'll end up shooting the king. I'm like, this will not go well. Comedian kills king of Jordan. So I'm not even kidding. It was a real story. I was there with like Russell Peters and Gabriel Iglesias, and we're there with the king shooting guns. And I'm like, this is surreal. This can't be a real moment. And it was a real moment in my life.
But how do we allow people in the United States of America just to go out and buy? Let me tell you something. You want to talk. You're from Kentucky, a state that struggles greatly. The eastern part of Kentucky is some of the most impoverished parts of the United States of America. And you've got a firearm in your home that I guarantee you costs between $25,000 and $40,000.
Really? That's what it costs?
It's an M60 machine gun. I mean, you're not going to tell me that that is not something that is cheap. Not cheap at all. And once again, these guys have those things. And, you know, where were they at? Where were they at when we were bogged down in Iraq in 2004, 2005? Where were they at? You know, they're all about taking pictures, trying to look tough. But the truth is that they don't care. And oh, by the way, these are the same people that will knock down an old lady to get a photograph with a veteran getting off of a plane coming from Iraq and Afghanistan. And now, what are they doing? They're stabbing us all in the back. because they're going to support this garbage. They're going to sit there and watch while Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy take directly from veterans. And make no mistake about it, we're not going to forgive none of you Republicans for this garbage.
Well, look, I mean, what you're talking about here and the fire and passion you have is so needed with Democrats and the base as well of all of us, because you have now corporations that ABC News paid $15 million to Trump, right? You've got Meta, you've got Amazon doing this because they don't think there's a price. They fear Trump. They think it could be bad for the bottom line, or some of them actually fear he'll send DOJ after some of them, which is not far-fetched to be blunt. So it's a real fear, but they don't fear this. There's no fear from them that if we suck up to Trump, if we go to Mar-a-Lago and give him $1 million, there's another side. The other side's gonna get mad. We don't get mad. We go, oh, that's so disappointing. I don't know what we do, but we got to do something where if they make that decision, we're going to organize and boycott, and they're going to suffer their bottom line a different way.
Well, it's like this new blue sky. The blue sky stuff is basically allowing people to cut ties with X. So I think that's great. I still have my X account. I don't post on it. And what I really do is I look at it every day to see how many numbers that have dropped. I had 168,000. Now I got like 140. And what that tells me is over 20,000 people that follow me have completely cut ties with this, and they switched over to Blue Sky. You know what? We already know that TikTok guy has already went down there to Mar-a-Lago. Meta's already went down there. I think Apple is on their way down there. I mean, look, let's find organizations that are willing to set things up like an X or a Twitter that doesn't lick the boots. How about that? I'd rather follow an organization that doesn't bend the knee to Donald Trump. That's my thoughts. And I'll tell you too, look, I do not condone anybody being gunned down in the streets. But I'm going to tell you, when an insurance agent shows up at your house, they tell you, we've got you covered. We can cover your home. We can cover your cars. We can cover your health. And then if something happens, you pay every single month. You pay every single month into your insurance. And then all of a sudden you need them. Something happens 5 years down the road. And then they show up and what do? Well, we're not going to give you everything because, your TV's 5 years old. So let's depreciate everything. But when you talk about health care, if a person gets cancer and then you decide to tell them that, well, that's expensive, so we're no longer going to cover you. I mean, that's murder too. But nobody says anything about that. It's sad that there were more people talking about that CEO than there were about the young girl that went to a school yesterday in Wisconsin and killed 2 people and then took her own life. It's a shame that, we will focus.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you, brother. And you make a great point. And people were dying all the time from lack of health care, and no one talks about those stories at all. So last thing, we got like 30 seconds. Where can people check out your Facebook and YouTube shows? You're doing great stuff.
I do every night Ojeda Live on YouTube and Facebook. I'm also the Turn Left Pack. So follow the Turn Left Pack on YouTube and Facebook as well, because let me tell you something. We are going to be active in 2026.
And I'm going to be there with you, brother. It's always great chatting with you. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I look forward to chatting with you in the new year, brother. Take care.
Happy holidays as well.